Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you're all having a great time at the conference. I am Touseef Hasan. On behalf of my co-authors, today I will be virtually presenting our paper ID 128, titled A Machine Learning Approach for Preliminary Ship Design based on the data collected from the ship recycling industry in Bangladesh. So, at first, we start with the question, what was the motivation behind this study? Preliminary ship design is the initial phase of ship design where we have to choose a few main particulars of a ship. However, the conventional methods are inefficient and take up a lot of time. They are ancient and not at all suitable for designing modern vessels. Last but not the least, despite the ship recycling industry in Bangladesh being a global benchmark, there is no database of the ships that are broken in Bangladesh every year. So just to give you an overview of the shipbreaking industry in Bangladesh, in terms of tonnage recycled, Bangladesh has been dominating this industry for almost 20 years now. And in the past decade, every year, more than 200 ships have been recycled with an annual total of almost 7 million gross tons of scrap. So keeping all these opportunities in mind, we had three research objectives. First things first, we aimed to make a comprehensive and updated database of over 1,500 ships recycled in Bangladesh from the past decade. Then, with the help of the database, we wanted to develop a practical design tool that designers can use in the preliminary design stage for four major types of ships: bulk carriers, oil tankers, cargo ships, and container ships. This tool can take only the length overall and design speed of the intended vessel as inputs and predict 6 design parameters as outputs: breadth, depth, light displacement tonnage, gross registered tonnage, net registered tonnage, and brake horsepower. So, how do we do that? We start by, of course, collecting the data from official sources, cleaning the data, which took a lot of time, by the way, and creating the database itself. Then we removed duplicates to find unique data points. Units were standardized and logical errors, for example, wherever light displacement tonnage was found to be greater than gross registered tonnage, were excluded. Missing values and outliers were also removed. Then, to facilitate the analysis, we aggregated the major ship types. For example, limestone carriers, gas carriers, cement carriers, etc. were included under bulk carriers because of similar design trends. All kinds of tankers were included under oil tankers for the same reason. Then we included ship speed according to the ship types. Now, for creating the design tool itself, we developed machine learning models for 4 individual ship types. And of course, the models had to be compared, interpreted, evaluated, and finally, we selected the best performing model for each ship type. Before cleaning the data, we found a total of 2,105 vessels of 54 types. And from the distribution, we can see how bulk carriers, oil tankers, container ships, and general cargo ships are the highest in number, and therefore the 4 major ship types that we selected for our analysis. These are the distributions for all the parameters that we found before cleaning the data. Now, this is an important diagram. A correlation heat map is basically a visual tool that shows how each variable is connected or correlated to the other. The closer the value is to 1, the stronger the correlation. It is clear that except brake horsepower or BHP, all the other 5 output parameters, B, D, LDT, GRT, and NRT, have a satisfactory correlation with one of the input parameters, LOA, which is the overall length. So to facilitate the prediction of BHP, we included design speed as an input parameter for our prediction because of the relationship. The power of a ship increases with the cube of its speed. For our machine learning models, we already had the length overall from our database. Then we selected our second input parameter, design speed, from recent literature. And on the other side, we can take a look at all the 6 output parameters that we expect our models to predict. Supervised machine learning models, such as the regression models, multiple linear regression, lasso regression, ridge regression, polynomial regression, k-nearest neighbors, decision tree, random forest, extreme gradient boosting, and lastly, artificial neural networks were trained on our dataset separately on each of the 4 ship types considered for analysis. Before training, the entire dataset underwent an 80-20 split into training and testing sets. The models were deployed on the testing set to make predictions on the 6 output parameters given the 2 input parameters for each corresponding ship, and they were evaluated how close the predictions were to the actual values. For evaluation, the following metrics were selected, among which MAPE and R-squared were considered while selecting the best model. Although no single fit model works best for every use case, we looked for a combination of a high R-squared value and a low MAPE value. So for bulk carriers, which appeared the most in number in our dataset, random forest and XGBoost proved to be the most effective. Fourth order polynomial regression and k-nearest neighbors fitted and performed the best in case of oil tankers. In case of container ships, fifth order polynomial regression and XGBoost performed the best. And finally, for general cargo ships, k-nearest neighbors and XGBoost yielded satisfactory results. For benchmarking our results, a recent study from 2023 was chosen where the lightship displacement of oil tankers was predicted using multiple linear regression and XGBoost algorithms, taking 2 inputs, length overall and breadth. The models were trained on the data of only 80 oil tankers, and its results were compared with the results of our chosen models for predicting the light displacement tonnage of oil tankers by directly taking the R-squared values into consideration. Our approach was trained on more data points and thus displayed a slight improvement over the chosen literature. From the results, XGBoost, k-nearest neighbors, and higher order polynomial regression models gave the most satisfactory results in general. Having said that, only evaluation metrics cannot justify a model over another model. The inputs and outputs also have to be put into consideration. We didn't use some of the most common machine learning models for this task. For example, support vector machines, gradient boosting machines, and AdaBoost, because they are used best only as single output models, but we had 6 target outputs. Unfortunately, we too had a few limitations due to a lack of data. Of course, we could not analyze and facilitate preliminary design for all the types of ships. The less common types were left out, unfortunately. There also was potential human error while building the database. As machine learning models are hard to interpret, they are not always usable. However, the existing models can be improved upon further iterations and more tweaking. So to sum it all up, our study at first formulated an updated database of the globally renowned shipbreaking industry in Bangladesh, which is the first of its kind. Then a preliminary design tool was developed using the data as an alternative to the conventional methods to save up precious man hours in ship design. Finally, as our tool has shown to quite accurately predict the light displacement tonnage of ships, it has the potential to massively benefit the ship recycling decisions in the recycling industry. Thank you. That will be all. Please feel free to ask if you have any questions.